I want to thank all of you for coming and taking time out of your busy day. And I want to thank Nancy Bender and the Santa Monica Public Library for hosting us in this beautiful venue. So, dressing from the inside out. So my intention for tonight really is to just start a conversation with you guys. You know, we have this really powerful tool at our disposal every day, which is the way we dress. And oftentimes we understand that, you know, we put an outfit on, we walk out the door, we're feeling a certain way, and the world responds accordingly, right? But we also need to realize that our clothes in our closet can also trigger and be a light for us to go within and understand who we are on the inside. So that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight. And I welcome you to raise your hand, ask questions. This is very informal. It's not meant to be, all uptight and me just talking all the time. So if you have questions or comments, just raise your hand, and I'd be happy to help you. So, your story, right? We all have our story, right? Where we're from, what we've been through, the things we've done in our life. And as I was preparing for this presentation, I sat down and did what's called a life review, where you go and you look back over your life and you start to kind of connect the dots. And for those of you who are into personal growth work and spirituality, this is a great place to kind of start. It's actually great to do this anytime during the process of learning more about yourself. But it's especially interesting before you start dressing from the inside out. So my story is I'm from Michigan. I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit. Graduated from Michigan State University with a degree in psychology. And immediately after graduating, I went as far away from Michigan as I could, which brought me to San Francisco. And after a year and a half, 2 years of soul searching, finding myself and going through an experimental phase, I decided to move back home to pursue my graduate studies. I was set to go to Wayne State University to get my master's in social work. And about 4 months before I was ready to go, I fell down and I broke my foot. And this was the first time in my life where I was actually forced to stop and be still. And this was an incredible time for me because I learned the amazing art of meditation, and I started devouring spiritual books and personal growth information, and a giant mirror sort of went up in my life, right? And it forced me to kind of go within. And in the process of doing that, I got a phone call from a family friend, and she was starting a magazine in the Detroit area called Our Detroit. And she asked me to join their team. And I thought, well, that sounds a lot more fun than working with the elderly, which was what I was doing at an assisted living facility. So at that point, I had totally shifted gears and I moved into fashion. And I immediately began working on photo shoots and dressing models and just really fell in love with the creative process. So after a couple of years at Our, I purchased a local vintage clothing store, and I owned and operated a boutique called Patti Smith. And I continued dressing people and really helping people cultivate a unique sense of personal style. And in the process of doing that, I realized that styling was really my calling. So I moved to Chicago. I put a little portfolio together, and I signed with Elite Models and started my career as a stylist. Of course, the day after I moved to Chicago was 9/11. And again, another huge moment where I was forced to be still, right, and go within. The whole world did, as a matter of fact. I think we can all remember that time in our lives and what came up for us. And really, it gave us a chance to sort of look at our priorities and our value system a little bit. So again, another big mirror that goes up when you go to make a big change in your life. So after working in Chicago for a couple years, I took a big leap of faith, scraped up about $3,000 and a couple of phone numbers, and I moved to New York City. And that's really where my career blossomed. I worked very, very hard, and I established a lovely business as a fashion stylist. I dressed hundreds of people, worked mostly in print photography, but also did a lot of image consulting, personal wardrobe styling. And really, had a fabulous time in New York, and everything was going great until fall of 2008, when what happened? The recession, right? So again, another moment where I was forced to stop and pay attention to what was going on inside of me and what I was really doing with my life. And if that wasn't enough of a knock on the door from the universe, I also got into a taxi cab accident and broke my wrist. So I literally couldn't work because as a stylist, you work with your hands. So this was all very confusing to me. So I decided to come out to California. I rented a little beach house in Malibu, and I was set to stay for 3 weeks, and I ended up staying for 6 months. So I obviously fell in love with Southern California, and that's really when I started to do a lot of the deeper healing work that I've been up to since that time. And during that time, I reconnected with an old friend of mine, and we quickly got together, and I had a baby. So I have a beautiful son, Ever, who'll be 4 in August. And, motherhood, unlike any other big event in my life, really, not only did it force me to be still, which obviously seems counterintuitive, seeing as mothers just seem to run around all the time, but it forced me to stop and really plant myself and to stop running, because I've been running my whole life. And I finally couldn't run anymore, so I really had to go within. I really had to look deep inside of me and understand what I was all about. So when I was ready to go back to work, I took a job as a personal shopper with Neiman Marcus here in Beverly Hills and continued my love of dressing people. And I felt, though, that something was missing. I needed to go a little bit deeper. So I pursued training in life coaching, and I became a certified life coach. And an epiphany came in January of this year when I got a phone call. A woman was coming into town, and she was attending a series of events and needed to have me pull a couple of looks for her. So for those of you who get my newsletter, you know the story. I filled her entire suite at the Regent Beverly Wilshire with racks of clothing from Neiman's and Saks and Barney's and Tom Ford and Jimmy Choo and Chloe. I mean, you name it. We had the best of the best. And she walks in, and she's this gorgeous woman. She's no body fat, young, beautiful woman. And we spent about 5-6 hours trying on all these amazing clothes. Well, she loved all the clothes, but every time she put something on, it was, my butt's too big, my thighs are too thick, my head is too small, my stomach is too flat. I mean, she literally said, my stomach looks too flat in this. I've never heard that one before. I mean, and I really started to, wake up to this. I was like, what's going on here? And what I realized is that, looking great isn't about putting on a dress that's $5,000. Looking great is about how we feel about who we are. And, we managed to kind of get her in a great look. She was very happy. She walked out the door to her event looking fabulous. But, that really kind of shook me a little bit. And so I decided from here on out, I'm going to change the way I do my business. And I established a closet therapist with the core principle of, in order to dress the outer, we must address the inner. So I'm here tonight after having developed these 7 steps to dressing from the inside out to introduce these ideas to you. And I encourage you all, in your spare time to do a life review. It's very interesting to see the moments when we're forced to be still and what we can learn from those. And it also, by the way, is sort of a prelude. It kind of opens up what I'm talking about next, which is the belief closet. So, our belief closet. Oh, I love closets. They're my favorite room in the house. I know it sounds a little strange, but they're really these magical places, right? If any of you have seen the movie, The Chronicles of Narnia, or read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, right? You know the story about this little girl, right? She goes into this wardrobe to hide, and she kind of goes through the clothes, and the back of the wardrobe turns into this like portal, right? Into this other world, Narnia. And it's all this, magic and adventure. And if you think about it, our closets are really symbolic. We have terms like, our skeletons in our closet, right? Which is our fears and our insecurities. We talk about a gay person coming out of the closet and stepping out into their true self. So it's a very rich symbol in our life. And I look at our closet as sort of symbolic of our mind. And our clothes are like our thoughts and feelings and beliefs about who we are. So when you open the door to your external closet at home, you can also open the door to your internal closet. Beliefs. I'm a big believer in beliefs. So the nature of our beliefs we are run by our beliefs. How we feel about who we are stems from these I am statements. I'm I'm old, I'm tired, I'm not important, I don't matter. Those are obviously the negative beliefs. Then we have the positive beliefs, like I'm interesting, I'm intelligent, I'm successful. So all these feelings that we have about ourselves are like the roots. They're like the roots of our life, right? That we stand in, and we draw up from these roots our sense of identity, right? Like who we think we are is sort of like the trunk of the tree, and we stand very firm in our beliefs, knowing that this is who I am. But really our identity sort of branches out, because we have all these parts, right? We're not just one person. We have all these different aspects of ourself and our sub-personalities, right? All the voices in our head. We have the part that is the professional part. We have the mom part. We have the single girl part. We have a creative part. We have all these different aspects of ourselves. And we build our closet and our wardrobe based on all these different parts. And again, the clothes and our accessories are kind of like the fruit and the leaves that we pluck from this closet of our identity. But everything really stems from our beliefs. It all comes from that, and we draw upon our belief system every day in order to grow and to be the person that we are. So, messages from water. Has anyone seen this experiment? There was this, isn't this amazing? This guy, Japanese scientist, right, Dr. Masaru Emoto, he did this incredible study with water. He took water samples and diluted them, and he froze them, and he subjected different samples to different messages, spoken words and written words and music. And depending on the messages that the water was receiving, different types of crystals formed. So the water samples that were subjected to like positive messages, like thank you, formed these beautiful, dynamic, brilliant crystals. And water that was subjected to negative emotions and feelings created these sort of dull, asymmetrical, not very interesting crystals. This is that was subjected to the words love and gratitude. And this is water that was subjected to you disgust me. So seeing that our bodies are created of 3/4 of water, the thoughts and the feelings that we send to ourselves are really important, because they literally change the way we look inside. And this is sort of the beginning or the genesis of inner beauty. These people who radiate from inside, they give themselves these positive, loving messages, and their bodies literally change from the inside out. So, armoring up. So all these beliefs, these limiting beliefs that we have, most people have 2 to 3 clusters of beliefs. They create emotions, right? They create these feelings like shame and anger and worry and stress and fear, regret. And it's like we wake up in the morning with all of these emotions running us from our beliefs. It's almost as, I think of it as armor that we put on every day, right? We get out of bed and we put on this suit of armor, right? To protect us from all these perceived threats that we have, right? Like we've got to fight traffic and we've got to deal with our boss, and it just weighs us down. So my job, and I see in the world, is what I want to do is to help people take off some of that armor and just to lighten their load a little bit, because we carry this around like this emotional baggage, and it really prevents us from shining through. I love the quote by Michelangelo. I'm sort of paraphrasing here, but he said about the David, right, the statue he's most famous for. He said, the David already existed. God created David. I just had to get rid of the excess marble that was in the way. So that's sort of what I'm talking about here, is like getting rid of some of these negative emotions that stem from our beliefs. How's everyone doing? Is everyone with me? Yeah? Okay. I haven't lost anyone yet? No one's sleeping out there? I can't really tell. Okay, so now we're going to get into dressing from the inside out. And step 1 is really just, it's opening the closet door. And when I talk about our closet, I also mean our dressers, our drawers, everything that holds our wardrobe, right? So again, our closet is sort of symbolic of our mind, right? And our clothes are the thoughts and feelings and beliefs about who we are that are represented by these garments that we own, right? We own these things. This is the important part. And then our clothes tend to group together. Whether you organize them in your closet this way or not, we have clothes that we wear to work, we have clothes that we wear to go out with our friends, we have the clothes that we go run around town in, we have clothes to go work out in. So all our different parts each have their own set of clothes. So what we want to start to pay attention to in step 1 is just shifting our perspective and looking at our wardrobe in new ways. And what we want to start to notice and pay attention to are areas of disarray or clutter. There's always a drawer that everything's kind of a tangled mess, or there's clothes that are shoved into the back of your closet, right? Or there's a shelf that you just don't want to deal with, right? So all of these areas are really important, and they actually have messages for us, They're literally our hang-ups, right? So I was actually I'll tell you a funny story, not funny, but interesting. I was having drinks a few weeks back with a new friend of mine, and I was telling her, she's someone I don't know very well, and we were talking about what I do for a living, and she's like, it's so interesting, I have all these suits in the back of my closet, and I can't seem to let them go. And I said, well, tell me about them, what do they represent? And she said, well, I wore these suits back when I lived in New York, before I was married, before I had kids, and she's like, I was really happy, I was making a ton of money and I was free. And I said, well, no wonder you don't want to let go of those suits, because they represent a part of you that you don't want to let go of, that represents your freedom, your success, and your independence. And she kind of thought about it for a minute, and we continued our conversation about how can we bring these 3 things, independence, freedom, and success, into your current life. So she went home and thought about it for a while, and I ran into her, it was so cool, the other day at preschool, and she's like, oh my God, Julie, you're never going to believe it. She was like, after we talked, I went home that weekend and I cleared out all these suits. And she's like, I went to work, literally the next day, and my boss called me into the office and he offered me a promotion where I'm making more money, I can work part-time from home now, so I'm getting the success and the freedom and the independence that I'm looking for. So this is sort of the idea, right? This is the attachment that we have to our clothes, and how powerful it is when we let go of clothes to also let go and change and modify and update into our life the things that we want to keep and the things we want to let go of. So step 2, this is when we start to try on our looks, right? In the fashion industry, we have the term look, which now is a popular term thanks to In Style magazine, right? We talk about, she's got like a rocker chic look, or she's got like a bohemian look, right? But a look can also mean, from my standpoint, is how we see ourselves, right? So again, it's going within, it's understanding how we perceive ourselves. And when we try on our clothes, usually one of 4 emotions come up, right? It's a positive emotion. I try this dress on. Every time I wear this dress, I look amazing, I love it, I feel fabulous, right? We try on an old pair of jeans from 2 years ago, our skinny jeans that are 2 sizes too small, and what do we say? I'm fat, I'm overweight, I'm old, I'm tired, all this stuff comes up, right? Then we have, sort of like a positive and negative emotion that will happen. So we'll say like, oh, I love this dress so much, I feel great, but it needs to be a little shorter, right? Or we'll just have a neutral belief. We put on a t-shirt. It's just a t-shirt, it's neither here nor there. So we have all these emotions that will kind of stem from our looks when we try them on. And in this step, the important thing that we want to do is to start to try on our trigger pieces, right? The ones that bring up a strong, powerful reaction. So what we want to do when we try these clothes on is to start writing down the beliefs that come up. So again, we try on this dress and we start to write down, I feel sophisticated, I feel sexy, I feel modern, right? And then we go out and try on the jeans and it's like, I feel fat, I'm not happy, I'm unsuccessful, nobody cares about me, all the stuff that comes up. So we really want to start to identify and use our clothes to trigger the beliefs and get them up into our conscious awareness. And we can also, in this step, start to identify our parts. So we get some closet clarity around what we have in our wardrobes for what purpose. So this is actually a really great step where we start to really do the work. So the next step is, oh, hello. I guess you can hear me better now, huh?
No, it's distorted.
It's distorted? Okay. Maybe we can turn. Was it okay before the mic?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, perfect. Who needs technology, right? So step 3, making choices. So we have our little list of beliefs going, and this is when we start to decide really what we want to keep, what we want to let go of, and what we want to modify. And the reason we do this step is because we want this all to be in our conscious awareness. Letting go of clothes is hard. So we want to really honor our clothes, and we want to honor the beliefs that come up that the clothes trigger. So by doing this process of not acknowledging and saying thank you to our clothes, which sounds silly, it actually is a big part of the letting go process. Because really our beliefs that have been indoctrinated since childhood, we've been walking around with these beliefs our whole life. And really what these beliefs were meant to do was to protect us. So we got these messages from our parents, from our culture, from trauma we may have experienced, and we internalize these beliefs in order to keep us safe, right? So that we wouldn't be thrown out of the pack, or we would be kept safe within our family system. So what happens now is that those old beliefs, we don't need them anymore. We're grown up, we're living our life, and we don't need to sort of play those games anymore. So we want to acknowledge these beliefs for having served us, and we want to acknowledge the clothes, the ill-fitting ones, the ones that feel terrible, for having gotten us to where we are. So this is, again, where we identify, this is what I want to keep, these clothes I want to either alter or fix, and these I know for sure I want to let go of. So why is it so hard to let go, right? I love these things that you see on Facebook. I saw this one the other day and I was just like, oh, perfect, right? So how is it I detest every article of clothing I own, but when I go to throw something away, I develop this deep sentimental relationship with it, right? This is what I'm talking about. It's the idea that we're not attached to the clothes. We're attached to the feelings and the beliefs that come up with them, that are attached to them. So when you try something on, you want to ask yourself, what does this garment represent, right? And I'll tell you, my sister actually just called me the other day, and I've been working with this on her for a couple months now. And she told me, she said, Julie, you're never going to believe this. She said, the other night, I went to go to bed, and I put on this nightgown, and I was just walking by the mirror, and I caught a glimpse of myself, and I stopped, and I stared at myself in this nightgown. And she said, I thought, like, why the heck am I wearing this thing? It's 10 years old. It was a gift from my ex-husband. She's like, the straps had broken, so she tied them together. And she said, I looked horrible in this nightgown. So she's like, oh, you'd be so proud of me. She's like, I stopped and I asked myself, what does this nightgown represent? And she said what came up was guilt. She still had this lingering guilt for having left her husband and ending the marriage. So she said, I acknowledged the nightgown for having served me in my life. I did the whole little acknowledgement ceremony that you do. Then I ripped it off my body and I threw it away. And she said, and she said she woke up the next morning and she felt a little bit lighter. She felt like something had shifted. And she went out and bought herself this nice little, sexy little nightgown. So again, this is an example of the work that this involves, and really the breakthroughs that you can have when you start to use your clothes to understand, what's going on inside of you. And just remember, it's our identity that we're attached to. It's not the clothes, it's what the clothes represent. So, step 4, letting go of limiting beliefs. So this is where the work comes in, because beliefs can go really deep, right? And, we can work on the surface of beliefs. We can deal with the beliefs, I'm tired, I'm fat. These are kind of more on the surface. But what we want to do, if we really want to transform ourselves, is to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the root of the belief. So we want to ask ourselves, what's the belief underneath this belief? And we want to get down into the I'm not important and I don't matter, I don't fit in, I'm not worthy, I'm not safe. These are really, really root core beliefs that we all have. And some of them are conscious and some of them aren't. So, this work can be very intense for some people. I wish I could say you could do this all by yourself, but when you get into this deep emotional work, I think it's important to either have a therapist help you, have a guide such as myself help you, or even a trusted friend who knows you really well, because there's going to be emotions that come up and there's going to be things that come to the surface. I do a process called the belief closet process, where I work with people on the subconscious level, and we go into the subconscious and we work within a closet type of scenario to understand and identify our limiting beliefs, discreate them, literally burn them, and then create the new empowering beliefs after that process is done. And this is pretty deep work, but amazing things can happen. So however you decide to do this, if you decide to do this, just know that this can be a little bit, of a rocky ride. But once you let go of the beliefs, the clothes just go. It's easy because it's not the clothes, it's the beliefs that we want to pull out and let go of. So once you do that, you'll have to physically, put the clothes in a bag and send them to Goodwill, but it won't be so hard because you've gotten to what is really at the root of having those outdated clothes anyways. So again, we want to honor our beliefs. We want to bring compassion and awareness to this. This is, very, very emotional work, and it's just, it's lovely to see people transform. I've been doing this for a while now, and it's amazing to me what people can come through, what they can do, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful process. But we also have to understand that it takes time. This is not just an overnight thing. This is something that takes, I've been at it for years now, but there's still things to uncover. So not to get all heavy and depressing, but just know that the deeper the transformation that you want, the deeper you have to go. And the beauty of this is when you pull these beliefs out from the root, they're gone. And you don't have to deal with them ever again, and it's permanent. So what that does then is it clears the space, right? This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the space within us, because when we have all these beliefs running of us and all these old clothes shoved in our closet, there's no room for anything new to come in. So the beauty that we want to achieve is just to clear things out and let them go, so that we create the space for the new empowering beliefs to come in. Sure, please.
I wonder if you could address how having a closet full of 5 different sizes of clothes, besides being from different eras of your life and being associated with different events in your life, changing weight and changing size, how that comes into play and all that.
Yeah, well, everyone's different. Everyone has weight fluctuations depending on clients' tendency to go up and down sizes. I don't recommend getting rid of things. Everyone says don't buy stuff that doesn't fit you or get rid of stuff that is too small or too big. I believe there should be bookends, like meaning you have your main size and then you have a little room on each end, if you lose weight or gain weight, so that you have some flexibility there. Because there's days, you could be your weight, but then you're bloated, so you need something bigger. You don't have all just size 4s. I think it's actually good and healthy to have a capsule of clothes that will allow you to just fluctuate a little bit and not be so strict with yourself. But what happens is, when you get into having stuff from 20 years ago that's 10 sizes too big, that's maybe something we can let go of. But it's a case-by-case basis. So it's interesting to, I would ask, well, what do those clothes represent? Like if there's clothes that are 10 years old from when you were a different size, like what is it about that that's challenging to let go of? Or let's talk about that time in your life and see what's coming up, so that we can work through it, so that the clothes will kind of naturally want to exit your life. Does that make sense? Or?
Yeah, I think it's the same type of thinking and the same type of obsessive compulsive. Normally we say all the clothes that are smaller than the size that we are now, rather than larger.
Right.
And so it brings a lot of baggage with it. Why am I getting fat? Or why am I too big?
Sure.
The clothes that I love, will I ever be thin again?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? How am I failing in my closet?
Well, these are all beliefs, right, that come up. This is just showing how powerful this is. And we don't want to let go of that old skinny self, our young skinny self, right? We don't want to let go of that because we were skinny. Everyone wants to be skinny, right? Except my client whose stomach was too flat, right? But so, I'd be happy to talk with you after specifically about, if that's your situation, but it just sort of brings to light the point that it's hard to let go, because those are times in our life that, maybe we were happy or we were successful and we felt good. And our bodies change naturally as we grow older. So it's just finding ways to incorporate those feelings, like, oh, maybe I feel lighter. Maybe I'm not skinnier, but I want to feel lighter. So how can we lighten up our lives right now so that we can feel that feeling, even if we're not, the same weight then, but just to feel the lightness of it. So we have to kind of get to the essence of what it is that we want, that those clothes represent. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so why is it still so hard to change, right? This is, when you guys get into this work, if you choose to do so, it's hard. We don't want to let go. We don't want to change. And the reason is because it's sort of like how they train baby elephants, which is kind of sad, but it's true. They take the baby elephant, they put a chain around its leg, and they put a stake into the ground, right? And they do whatever trainers do to baby elephants. I couldn't watch that part of the video, but whatever they do so that the baby elephant gives up, right? I don't know if they hit them or beat them or whatever, but they train them in such a way that the elephant eventually just gives up. So what they do now with the adult elephant is all these trainers have to do is put a chain around the elephant's leg and put a stick to the ground. And even though this elephant is 2 tons and can easily walk out, it doesn't do so because it knows it's stuck. So this is sort of how our thinking is, right? We've been trained and we've been indoctrinated for our whole life, all these limiting beliefs that we have. And once we learn to let them go, it's like the elephant being able to pull the chain out of the ground and we can free ourselves. So we just have to understand that it's our thinking, and that once we change our thought patterns, we can really change our whole life and we can free ourselves. So step 5. So this is when it starts to get fun. All the heavy stuff's done, right? We've done the work. We've let go of some really deep beliefs. And we have this amazing space in our life now, right? So what we want to start to do is we want to start to incorporate and develop these new empowering beliefs. So we go back to our list from our try-on session, and we start to look at these, these beliefs that came up from, our happy clothes, right? I'm interesting, I'm intelligent, I'm successful, I'm sexy, all these things. And we want to continue to build. We kind of like prime the pump with those, and we get more and more profound with our beliefs and our new empowering ways of seeing ourselves. So the goal here is to really find beliefs that have a wow factor. And when I do work in the subconscious mind with people, we spend a great deal of time in the belief closet coming up with really powerful beliefs that are really poignant for each person. So whether you do this on a conscious level or in a meditation, you can really find beliefs that really just, you just want to be excited about them. They want, you want your heart to open up and your spirit to soar and really have this sort of wow factor. And what we can do here is we can start to write down these beliefs, and we can create affirmations. Like, I'm sure everyone knows what an affirmation is. And you literally like put them around your house. I have sayings everywhere, quotes and just things on my mirror. I also like to find images on the internet or in magazines and post those around for inspiration. So this stage, we're actually really starting to cultivate these new beliefs. And once we start to incorporate these, we can move them into our energetic system because the old stuff is gone. So now there's finally room for these new beliefs to sort of take hold. So this is actually when it starts to get fun. And this is when you start to notice change happening. Because when you walk out the door in this beautiful dress with this beautiful belief, guess what? The world's going to respond accordingly, right? So step 6, now it gets really fun because now we can go shopping, right? Because now we have these new beliefs, right? We have these new ways of thinking, and we have space in our closet because we've let some clothes go. We have space internally from the limiting beliefs that we've also let go. And now we can kind of shop with purpose, right? We can go out and we can say, these are my parts. I know these different aspects of myself. I know I need clothes for work. I need clothes to go out. I'm more aware of who I am and all the parts that I want to express. I'm aware of old parts maybe that haven't been expressed in a long time, and I want to pull those out because I can see clearly now what I need and what I want. And literally, when you go to try on clothes in the dressing room, you can ask yourself, how does this dress make me feel? How does this garment make me feel? And if it doesn't make you feel anything but absolutely fabulous, then you just turn it down, right? So you have more awareness of what it is you're looking for, and you're not just kind of randomly searching in the dark for clothes that are going to end up representing the limiting beliefs that you are carrying around with you. So really, actually, when you shop like this, you save time, you save money, and you save a lot of frustration, right? So this is actually a really great way to save money because we tend to spend money in odd ways. We're not feeling good. We get retail therapy, right? So now we can kind of be a little bit more cognizant of where our money is going, and we can shop more with purpose and with a clearer intent of what it is that we're looking for. And the last step really is just maintaining closet clarity, right? So this is sort of an ongoing process, and we can kind of get into a rhythm here where we can continue to let go of beliefs and clothes that no longer serve us. We've done the obvious stuff at first, and then you'll realize that beliefs tend to kind of come in layers, as do our clothes. So we can continue to refine the process as we go, and then we can continue to build new beliefs and create more empowering actions and ideas for our lives. Just in the, seasonally, every week, every day, however often you kind of get into this new rhythm. And then the important thing is just to, stay on top of the clutter. The clutter that builds up in your closet is like the clutter that builds up in our minds. So it's just really creating this nice flow where things start to kind of come and go out of your life a little bit more easily. And then really the idea here is also just to enjoy yourself and to honor this new self that's emerging, because once you do this work and you let go of some of these clothes and these beliefs, everything's going to change and things will start to open up, and you'll start to naturally just attract new and more powerful people, circumstances, and situations into your life. So that's it. I mean, congratulations, right? When you do all that, you're definitely dressing from the inside out. So I wanted to end tonight with a quote that from one of my favorite authors, Marianne Williamson. Maybe a lot of you have heard this, and I wanted to read the whole thing. I know it's a bit long, but it's so beautiful, so bear with me while I read it. Pardon me? Oh, sorry. So, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So this really just sort of sums up everything I've been trying to talk about in such a beautiful way. She's a much better writer than I am. And it really all kind of boils down to two words, which is self-love. And, we live in this culture where we're sort of consumed with the external, right? When I get a good job, I'll be happy. When I make more money, I'll be happy. When I find a boyfriend, I'll be happy. And really, those things bring happiness, but it's temporary. And I think what we're all looking for, especially in this day and age, is to just get real with ourselves and to go within and find that sense of peace and joy that's eternal, and it doesn't just go away. So I thank you all so much for just hearing me out tonight, and I wanted to mention that